Hello, welcome to Conversations for the Moving Self. I am your host, Megan, a lifelong movement artist and facilitator. Each week, I invite you inside of the honest conversations that I have been having with some incredibly inspiring movement and well-being practitioners, as we unpack the beautiful roller coaster it is to pursue a lifestyle built around movement and well-being. Join us as we share and reflect on the moments where movement lights your soul on fire, to the situations where you begin to question everything. Welcome to Conversations for the Moving Self. Today I have Shelley Kyne, who is a British movement and well-being practitioner with a professional dance career spanning over the past 15 years, working in various countries across the globe. She also has worked as a personal trainer alongside her dance career and went on to becoming a level 5 NLSMM sports massage therapist, treating dancers, athletes, and the general public. Shelley is someone I met through Steph Diath at the Place, who came highly recommended as a masseuse, and I second that opinion. She's always saving me and my body. But also every time I see Shelley uh, in different spaces, whether it's for a massage or passing through in different dance organizations, as a colleague, there's so much warmth and knowledge around the body that and caring for it that Shelley has to share. And so I'm just super excited to have her light today and chat about different things around the body and movement and well-being. So thank you for joining, Shelley.
Oh, thank you so much for the invite. I really appreciate it. It's lovely to see you.
You too. We'll start today just with how you're showing up for your movement and well-being practice today. It's early on your Monday morning, but how
Um, I sort of have transitioned from being purely a professional dancer, working in industry, and being a personal trainer as well, sort of interlocked. And I've moved into sports massage therapy now. So the way I show up for my body now is really different because I have different needs for my body. I'm also a mum, so I time is never on my side. So in terms of my movement and well-being, I really try to set myself really small goals. Being a personal trainer, you're always talking about goal setting for your clients, which is great, and transferable in lots of other sort of fields. But for me, as a mum and a working mum, and I'm wearing lots of other hats, I just set myself like a 10-minute goal a day. Um, and that could be any movement. So usually it's me just throwing a mat down on the floor and just finding my body. It's usually in the morning. I find the morning practice so much better for me, and my body, because then I feel like I've achieved something. If the whole day goes wrong, it doesn't really matter because I've done that 10 minutes for myself, and then I can move throughout my day feeling virtuous. I find it very difficult. When I was when I was training as a dancer, there was a lot of evening classes, which were great and they were really hardcore. And you would come out just like dripping with sweat, and it was 10 p.m. and you were running for a tube, and it was just so grueling. There was something amazing about that as well, just like that last push to the end of the day. But for me, it's morning practice. Usually I can, if I try and get up before the kids in the morning, oh,
Yeah.
that like golden, it might be like 5 minutes, it might be 20. And today I think I had like 15 minutes of just my own piece, my own. And I didn't do much with that time, actually. I didn't, roll out the mat. I just kind of was there just doing life. Yeah, just not doing much. Because when the day gets going, it doesn't stop. So yeah,
Definitely.
that's what I try and do.
This thing, I'm also, I think because of dance, a lot of times more of an evening person because of work-related things at the minute. But my roommate encouraged me to go do some yoga this morning with her, and we were just talking about like how powerful it is to be able to have those minutes before everything else starts coming at you and affecting how you feel, and just like really where you're at and then go from there. It makes a huge difference. And when I can cultivate the mornings, I'm always like reminded like, oh yeah, that
Mm.
actually does do a lot. And yeah.
Yeah, I think when I was doing a lot more dance like jobs, I would always turn to yoga actually as like a calming, like it was movement, but it was also like a medicine in different ways, you know. So for me that was like my piece as well, just finding a mat. And whether that be like an online platform or whatever, or a class where I'm surrounded by the same energy, it would do some magic things. And yeah, I, I think the dance world can be so grueling, and it's a lot about sort of the competition, and there's a lot surrounding that, and then it becomes your job. And you know,
Mm.
you have to, if you are like, if it's ingrained in you to be like moving, and that's what you love is movement, which I do. I'm lucky, like I love movement, I love going to the gym, I love moving my body. But then when that becomes your job, that is that's a whole, you have to find something else. You just do, because the, it it doesn't serve you like it used to. It's a
Yeah,
really
what like
hard
long
one.
term, right?
I do often say that to the students that I treat, like, you know, this will one day become your job, and you have to find joy in that. But also, you know, it's a job. It's not, you're not doing it for your own pleasure, you know.
Yeah, yeah. When
It's tricky.
you, out of curiosity, when you maybe something happens and that time that you tried to cultivate for yourself like slips through the cracks and the day starts, are there any other points in your day that you try to capitalize on? Okay, this is my next moment of if I missed that morning slot of 10 minutes, how to allow
Yeah.
yourself to reset and not let it throw off your whole day or
Sometimes I'm going to be honest, like no, it just doesn't happen, and then
yeah,
I'm just like paddling. But for me, it's like getting outside, and I am quite an outdoorsy person, so I love to be outside. So if that means like going for a walk on a lunch break, or just getting outside and just breathing in some fresh air, that for me can actually just reset me a little bit. Um,
yeah,
and just slow everything down. Um, I think because I've gone from being like a dancer is very like it's very self, like you're thinking about yourself and everything is like inward. And then now I'm like, it's the same with personal training, like you kind of give out. So like your energy is, it's not for you anymore, like it's for others. So um for me, sometimes that's really exhausting because I have to give enough to all the people that I'm seeing that day, but I also have to be able to have enough for myself left. And that
yeah,
sometimes that balance is really tricky. Um, so yeah, sometimes it doesn't happen, but I feel like I really, and also there was another thing that I don't really give myself a huge amount of like buffer time. So I'll see my last client and then I have to get on the next train. Otherwise, I can't do the next thing and the next thing. And then if that spirals, it's
yeah.
not great, you know, like,
No.
and that's my goal this year is I'm just going to try and give myself that time where I allow everything to go wrong, you
Yeah,
know, and then I won't be stressing as much, you know. I can actually just accept what has happened today and move through it. Um,
mhm.
yeah, I think because I work a lot in London, London doesn't really operate that way. London operates on the way that, you know, you're going to do 12,000 things today and you have not much time to do it. And it's just like you're running riot every day. And you could do that forever, but it's not, you know, it's not great. And yeah, I mean, you must feel that like being in London, you know,
100%.
training as a dancer and then just not being in that environment anymore. And then occasionally coming back and dipping your toe back and thinking, wow, this is
Yeah,
exhausting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like because I had been there for 5 years and then this last chunk that I was away and then visited for Christmas, it was the longest I had been away since I'd moved there. And
Huh.
I, when I first got back, I actually just was back to change airports and then like fly back, and then I was back for a few days later. But on the first leg of the flight, I changed from like Heathrow to Gatwick, and so it was like commuting like a normal human. And felt it in my like I also it was in one way like a really refreshing and like, wow, is all this still the same? But equally I was like,
Yeah.
wow, I'm walking like like I live here and I'm on the way to work, you know?
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I was running from my flight or whatever. I had plenty of time, but just the way that the system like kind of comes back into your body and yeah,
Yeah.
it's super interesting. And I notice it still in my being, even in a space that is much more the opposite.
Yeah.
Certain moments where I want to be running, and either people around me or circumstances around me will be like, trying to remind me like it's okay to slow down. But it's hard to fight it when the circumstances around you are asking for that, and the and everyone around you is operating in that situation.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. It's when you take that break away, like I don't have family living in London, so I will leave London if it's Christmas or the holidays, whatever. And everyone is operating at such a different frequency, and it feels unsettling because it's kind of frustrating in your body because your body's like this, and then yeah, finding that like calm and stillness and just like the slower pace it can be really jarring when you first head it, and then actually it takes a couple of days, and then you're sort of okay,
It's
for this,
nice.
I could live here actually, and then you're like on right move, going, yeah, no, I could totally
Just
like
commute it. It'll
commute
be
from
fun.
Timbuktu, yeah, like I could do this. But then you put yourself back in it, and you try and put yourself in that headspace of like the calm, but in the
Yeah.
busy, and it does catch up with you. It's
Yeah.
normal, isn't it?
I liked what you said though of like going outside. I think it's especially something that I think most careers probably face, no matter if it's a movement one or not, but like something like dance where he's often in a studio rather than
Mm,
on a track or something. Sometimes
yeah.
you don't get outside much, or like when you're with clients back to back to back, and then the day is over and you're like, wow, I haven't breathed real air all day. It's all
Yeah.
stuffy, and just then even that like time of just taking a few minutes and pausing also
Mm,
is really nice.
yeah.
It's just a small way that can bring the same like intention and effects of the morning practice if things slip through the cracks or
Yeah.
life gets in the way.
Yeah, I think for me, the way that my life is at the moment, I feel like I was sort of kicking back from it from a while for a while. Like, no, I've got to still do this and still do that. But it's like, yeah, but everything around you has changed, Jelly. Like, just stop. Like, you can't do it all, have it all. You just can't. You can do your best. And you know, for me, that's why like the morning for me is vital. And if it doesn't go right, it's not the end of the world. I think I would have in my dance when I was more in my dance career, I would probably beat myself up for that. And I would be like, no, you haven't gone to the gym today, or you haven't done this movement practice, you didn't go to this class. Like it's yeah, your own yeah, your internal monologue as a dancer is quite can be quite damaging. And I think that there's a lot of like self-deprecation in dance, and because you're so in your body, it can be a really positive thing. But also for me, I really found freedom when I was could just give that away, give that like, and whether it's like knowledge, encouragement, calm, whether if I can give that to someone else, that kind of feeds me as well, but in a really positive way.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, that comes also with its own challenges. So I'm trying to navigate it as well myself. Like, oh my gosh, don't get me wrong. Like I have days where I'm like, this is like crazy. Like I've done too many treatments today, or I've given too much and I have absolutely
Yeah,
nothing left in the tank.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but
definitely.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Did your relationship with movement start through dance, or did you have like other influences of movement growing up? Or yeah, could you share a little bit more about your journey with movement in your life and where dance maybe came in, and then where like personal training came in, etc.
Yeah. So I started dance when I was really young.
Okay.
I was probably 5 maybe, and I would do ballet on the weekends, and it just kind of developed from there. And I went down that quite like conventional, like Eurocentric kind of training, and then went into musical theatre. So that was like my background. I didn't, I you kind of told the steps, you did the steps, they were the steps, and it was all about shapes, lines. Wasn't really about you.
Yeah.
Um, so it's quite interesting when I'm working with contemporary students now because it's completely like flipped on its head. And I question all of my training. but um, but yeah, I was very into sport when I was younger. I just liked moving my body. So I did a lot of sport at school. I just really enjoyed just that feeling. I think it just gave me a good feeling. Like the exertion in your body, like just doing something where you physically felt like tired,
Yeah.
but in a really good way because it gave you like the energy.
Mm.
So yeah, it was definitely like sport, like athletic kind of stuff. Nothing like serious. I never took any of it that seriously, but really enjoyed it. I got a lot of enjoyment about it, but I didn't have any pressure on it. It was just like a fun
Yeah.
thing that I did. Um, so certainly sport. And then yeah, dance came in, and then I was at a dance college at 16. It was quite normal when I was training, to go quite young. And so again, it was like when I was at college, I realized really quickly, oh gosh, like the thing that I've really enjoyed is not like it's no longer mine. Like I've passed over it. So I found like a netball team in the area that I was living in, and I just put myself out there. I must have been about 17, 18. And I just joined a women's netball team because I was like, I just need to do something that's mine.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I think I would swim, and then I found yoga. I found like hot yoga practice, which was, I mean, when I was 17, I think I went to the first ever hot yoga place in London. Like it wasn't a thing. It really wasn't a thing. And then I found, oh, I just got so much from that. And it helped me overcome some injuries and things that I was picking up at college. So I found like other routes to find like the enjoyment, because I think when I was at college, it was like, no, this is your job now. And like, this is serious. And like, you had to be very much like that at college. I think that's changed a lot as well. But yes, I just found other ways to get the same buzz, I guess. But
Mhm.
nothing beats performing. Nothing beats performing.
There's so many little bits in there that I was like, ooh, this, ooh, this.
Yeah.
Of what role it plays in your life in different chapters, and then how you bring back the other elements I really like, and I think I relate to a lot, and see it ebbing and flowing in different, or coming in different ways in different chapters. My thing right now is I've been taking like aerial hoop classes, and it's so fun, and I feel like such a beginner in the best way.
Yes.
We're like
Bruises everywhere. Yeah.
or even like last week, there wasn't enough. There was something, I don't know. There wasn't enough hoops for all of us to have a hoop. And one of the girls who's definitely been there for a while, she's doing her thing. She kept trying to like, I think she was feeling like, oh, am I hogging the hoops? And I was like, no, it's okay. It's good for me to like be able to see what you're doing, and then see like we're all rotating. And I feel like such a beginner in such a really refreshing way.
Yeah.
Um, just like I feel like, a little kid in a candy store, like, oh my God, everyone teach me everything. But like
Yeah.
that role of, I think also, yeah, especially because right now I'm teaching a lot. And so to be the student in the most
Wow.
student way ever is so
Yeah.
such a nice feeling. But then with hot yoga, like there was something for me, I found hot yoga at a similar, like when I was 17 as well. And I
Mm.
got super obsessed with going to like 6 a.m. classes with my two best friends. And we would go like 3 times a week. And it was such a nice feeling. But we were all dancers. And I think with hot yoga, it tricked me into the same
Mm.
like hard work that I felt in dance. But then it was like also this meditative side of things. And then yeah, from there fell in love with yoga as its entirety and the different
Yes.
versions of it. But that was a nice way in, I think, as a dancer for me to still feel like I was working hard, even though
Yeah.
obviously you're working hard in all of it.
A
And
hundred
what
percent.
hard work looks like is a whole other conversation. But like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think I totally agree with all of that. I think the good thing I found about yoga is that there was all walks of life. So, and I'd only interacted with my like cohort, that were all a certain aesthetic
yeah,
and same sort of capability. Whereas you walk into yoga and people are like, I don't care if I can't put my knees on my toes. It doesn't matter. Oh, knees on my toes, head on my toes. It
and you
doesn't
know,
matter.
yeah.
And then I was like, oh,
Wait, yeah,
like it really like it was like so confusing for me. And I was like, oh, this is not a competitive thing. This is just like this is actually just doing it and just getting
yeah,
through it and enjoying it. And then,
mm,
you know, a lot of it is like, there is lines and there's shapes that are great if you can do it. It doesn't matter if you can't get there. It doesn't
yeah,
matter. And if you're tired one day, you're tired. And they all, in yoga practice, they always say just meet your body where it is that day. Whereas in
yeah,
dance, the expectation is no, 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 continue where you left off, honey. Whether you've had a
yeah,
Christmas break or whatever, continue where you left off. And that's not the reality of performing, and especially live theatre where, anything could go wrong and you could fall flat on your face and there's a lot of variables. Life isn't
yeah.
perfect, is it?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. When I was younger, there was like this thought process that I had at one point for a long time that
Yeah.
was like the more time I spend just in dance with dance all the time with dance, I'll be better at dance. And practices like yoga, I think at first felt like a distraction, and then something shifted eventually where I
Mm.
was like, oh wait, actually, if I show up and meet myself where I'm at, then it actually helps in the dance realm and it's
Mm.
okay. And then like, yeah, the that just begins the unraveling of all the things of like had to be a
I
human
think
and to hang out with people and to
100%, 100%. I think dancers have a slightly different mentality to most other people, to be honest, because I think like a writer, you would be, writing a novel, and then you go, okay, I've got writer's block. I'm not going to continue sitting at this desk and just writing rubbish just for the sake of it. I'm going to just take myself for a walk, or I'm going to do another task, or and I think that translates in a lot of other jobs.
yeah,
Whereas in dance, it's like, no, 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 you continue until you get it right. And there's that sort of expectation that we put upon ourselves as dancers, but also maybe, I mean, I've never actually taught dance in a capacity where I'm, teaching professionals, but I feel like there is that expectation with teachers as well. Like, I know what you're capable of, so continue. Come on, give me more, give me more, give me more. They always want more. Um, and then, I think especially in musical theatre,
mm,
I'm trying to think what I'm trying to say, but I just think that there is like a level of expectation. I know what your body's capable of, so give it to me now. I know it's 8:45 in the morning and it's, but give it to me now. And, that kind of does stick with you, I think, just going through life, even if you change career.
yeah,
I think that you still hold that expectation on yourself. And I think that can be like a superpower in some ways. And it can um from the outside in, it looks, you look like you're doing really well, and you're really a successful quote unquote person. But there's a lot more nuance to that. There's why are you so like resilient, or why are you able to push through? What is the reason for that? And it's probably from, you know, that dancer within us, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Even it's something that I think like I see in myself and it ebbs and flows and we see it like I'll see it in moments where I'm like, oh wow, it's really intense right now. And then I calm it down and I feel like something else comes in, constantly trying to like, step back and what do I need right now and what am I maybe letting happen subconsciously, etc. But I think at the time when I first started seeing you, at the time I was like, oh, like I should go get a massage and I should spend money on this. But then when I
Yeah.
like started trying to make it a bit more of a routine, and because somebody in my life said to me like, why are you not justifying spending money on that? Like, and obviously you can't do it every day, like then you have
Of
to pace
course,
yourself. But
of
like,
course.
why is that not something that you think is valuable, especially in a career where your body is your thing, but like also just as a human, like you deserve that. And I remember that kind of like taking me out of myself for a second and being like, oh, it's a good point. Like, why do sometimes we justify, I don't know, like something like we can justify getting a haircut, but like I at the time wasn't justifying getting a massage, and it's like just as much
Mm.
care to be like, hey, where am I actually at? What does my body need right now? And yes, resiliency is also a thing, but resiliency can be strengthened by also like allowing the side of care to come in.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because I mean, I deal with lots of different people from all walks of life, and students, it is one of those ones where I get it. I've been there. London's hard. It's not easy living working in London, and I get how it's quite low on the priority list for some people because they're just trying to get by. But I think you're right. It is about that routine, and it just becomes part of life, I think. Just getting that regular check-in with someone. And I mean, you know what it's like. We'll have a treatment and it's not just, a rub down. It's like there's so much more to it, there's so much more to it. And it is that time for yourself. It's like self-love um and I think it it kind of just slows everything down. Um, I think there is quite a lot of misconceptions about like sports massage as well, that like you're just like a piece of meat on the table and someone's got their elbow into your bum. And it's honestly doesn't have to be like that. I feel like I really try and make a conscious effort to like make the space as comfortable and as like tranquil as possible. So that like time that you have is actually, it feels like more than just an elbow. Um, and even if I'm doing like really short treatments with, sorry, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here. But
It's
even
great.
if I'm treating like people, a lot of time in dance and sport theatre, you get like a maximum of 30 minutes to like solve all of their life's problems. And so I really want that 30 minutes to be like the best 30 minutes of their day. Like I really do. Um, so yeah, for me, it's it is important. And I think people do realize, but again, it's one of those things. You have to find the right practitioner as well, because if you don't have that like connection bond, like you're putting yourself in quite a vulnerable position, really. So you are putting yourself out, like out there for treatment, and there's a lot of like malpractice out there, and people that have had bad experiences. So it's also like my job to like change that narrative a little bit,
Mm,
and make it an experience that is like enjoyable and helpful.
yeah.
Um, yeah. it's a tricky old industry, this one.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and that brings me into like a few different questions that I have in my mind. Not even a few. There's probably 15, 20. But I very much feel that in your space of it's a holistic like experience, and I think I have never felt a sense of being a piece of meat on a table, but with you, but like I know exactly what you're referring to, and I think the different spaces can feel more that way. And how for you, like what things you notice are useful for you to start the session off like with that at the forefront?
It's yeah, it's a tricky one because I think doing half an hour treatments is just a skill you have to learn. Because with the luxury of time, if I had someone for an hour and a half, you really can take your time with like the subjective findings, like extrapolating as much information from that person as you can. And with half an hour treatments, you have to take lots of different cues from lots of different places. So you have to take, what they're saying to you, and then what their body is feeling, like how it is feeling physically, but also how it is presented to me. So
Mhm.
there's like there's different paths I go down to make a really quick assessment. And it doesn't mean I'm not being thorough.
Not
It just
that.
means that I have lots of different ways to extrapolate the information.
Yeah.
So from the second you walk in, I'm already getting a picture in my
Yeah, yeah.
mind. And whether that's like someone going, I've just missed the bus, I've just got to, there's lots of different things, or like, oh, I've just, my cat's just gone to the vet or whatever. There's lots of
Mhm.
different things that lead to that moment as well. So that's probably a fourth one. Like I know the backstory, I've got what I've got in front of me, I've got what I've got on the table, and then,
Mm.
what they tell me. And all of those can be really, really different things. Um, so in terms of like managing that appointment, everyone is different. I get this a lot. Like some people say, like if you're treating a certain area of the body, do you just do the same thing? And I'm like, well, sometimes kind of yeah, but that's for good reason. But
Yeah.
there's every treatment is different. Like, and it's yeah. And I think like I don't, I will like remember what I've done or look at my notes of what I've done. Like I've seen you like 3 weeks ago, and then I'll see you again. And but then sometimes I might just go off on a tangent and be like, no, 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 there's something really like weird going on here. Like I need to address that. And but you have to gain that trust with that person to be able to do that. And if you don't, it's really tricky. Um,
Yeah.
so for example, at the moment I'm working with artists, and um they're in a company, and there's lots of different nationalities, so there's like a cultural complication as well, in terms of like maybe some like language barrier, and also just cultural. So I have to deal with that element as well, and manage their expectations, because their expectations might have been from another country where they always get treatment, and now they've come here and they're feeling a bit vulnerable, or they're feeling a bit, I don't know, that they will come in with a perception of like who I am, and they're like,
And
oh,
like
you're
how it's
quite
gonna
like,
go. Yeah.
yeah. I think as well, like with me being a female, like if there's a like a like I'm treating like a lot of big buff guys at the moment, and they look at me like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Let me try.
Um,
Give me a
And I'm not
chance.
proving them wrong, but I'm gonna, there will, yeah. Um, and at the end, they're like, "Oh, actually, they're like pleasantly surprised." I'm like, "Yeah, I know what I'm doing. Like, it's not all about the elbow. Do you know what I mean?" But um,
Yeah.
yeah, it really is about that trust. And do you know what? Sometimes you just don't have that rapport with people. We're human. You're not gonna, teach a class, teach a yoga class. You're not gonna be a choreographer and get on with everyone. It's just not going to happen. Like you're not going to be to everyone's taste, and that is totally fine. And then they can go elsewhere. I'm not going to, hold them to ransom. Like they 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 are quite welcome to just not see me, and that's fine. And I'm sure people have done that, and I just don't know about it, and I'm just like sailing through life not knowing. But my job is to like try and avoid that as much as possible. I want to create that rapport. I want to, I think like if you can sort of get information, just not about their physical complaint, but just like everything else, like it really does help me, because then I can always tell if someone's holding back, and that doesn't
Yeah.
help with a treatment. It's like that emotional, like um holding that emotional um kind of being doesn't help
Mm,
me either. If they're holding it all in,
yeah.
can't like
Do
give, because they're not
trying to do.
giving. It's like it is a two-way street.
Yeah. Yeah.
um yeah,
Mm,
does that answer your question?
Well, and it feels like even just intertwined with this idea of being a piece of meat on the table, like it actually is so much easier for you to do your job if someone isn't that.
Yeah.
And like obviously it's still the time for them, but like I liked I like a lot of what you're saying, and I think I feel it in your space where I feel the sense of care around the whole being, and then I think I leave feeling like, oh wow, I feel like I always say that I leave feeling so ready for a nap and equally ready for another day. Like so
Yeah.
relaxed and also energized, like this beautiful balance. But I think it comes from I imagine it comes from this thing of being able to see the whole picture and not just like what maybe somebody comes in and says like, oh, I have this specific uh, one area that I want to work on, and that probably still has an like obviously has an impact on things as well. But like,
Yeah.
what's the cause? What's the lead up? What's the life factors that are also maybe impacting it, and so
Mm.
on.
Yeah, I think that comes with experience of treating.
Yeah.
Because I treat a high volume of people a week, I see patterns, and I know everybody is like, individual, and but there's so many similarities in people. It's like
Mm.
just
At this current moment, obviously, it's going to change probably even day to day. But do you feel like at this current moment you're seeing like a certain theme come up a lot, or if not, it's okay. But
um yeah, I mean, gosh, there's so much, because I think different environments hold different problems. And a lot of them are like more sports specific.
mm,
So the physical complaint does completely translate to the environment that they're in.
yeah,
But a lot of it, if it's like sort of emotional or stress, it's all around here. Like it's all around the neck and the shoulders. And people come in saying, "Oh, I've got a really sore shoulder. It's right on this point right here." And I'm like, "Yes, I know. I know." like like you don't even need to say anymore, because I know exactly what I'm going to find, and I know, I can start creating that picture, and they think it's that one spot on their back that's causing them like all of their problems, but it's just not.
yeah,
um so and I can, and it does, and this is where it comes back to like picking up on all the cues, like, because some people, don't have that body awareness, like, as dancers you're much easier to treat, really, because you know your body, you know what it does, you know what its limitations are.
mm,
And with like the general public, a lot of them don't, they just don't have that body awareness. They don't know how their body moves in space. So
mm,
when they're trying to pick up on something that hurts, or I'm trying to create a picture, it's much harder, because they don't either have the language or the movement to be able to like communicate it to me. So I have to work a lot harder to get that
yeah,
information. Yeah.
mm,
Um,
makes a lot of sense.
yeah. Mhm.
It brings me into another question that I had for you around having a lot of like narratives, stories, information, feelings like coming at you all day long, every day. And it's not like you're working with one person all day, every day and dealing with them one-on-one, like, but it's changing a lot. And how how that looks for you on the backside of them being able to give out
Yeah.
and survive.
There's a yeah,
And not just
there's a lot
survive, also like
there's a lot of energy transfer for sure. And some days are much heavier than others. And I come home and I've probably done half the amount of treatments, but I feel double the weight on my body. So some days are breezy, and fine, and I can leave it at the door. And then other times, like things like linger with me a little bit, whether that be like in my body or in my mind. But
mm,
I think I'm quite good at leaving it at the door. Like I really do try. Obviously I'm human, so some things kind of just stick with me, and then I have to like just speak to someone, or like my boss or whoever's I'm working with. I just like kind of chat it out. Um, but most of the time, like I really do try and separate like work life and home life. Like you won't see much of my home life on like my social media or anything like that. My social media is quite boring for that reason, because you're not getting an insight really into my life, because I don't want to give it to you. So,
yeah,
but um, but for me, like the separation is really important, because I've not come into an industry where I want to bring all of my work home with me. I do want to leave it at the door. And um I don't think that that's a bad place to be, really. I think that's yeah. That's a good place to
sounds
be.
like a really healthy place to be.
Yeah.
I it made me wonder if that's something you felt like at the beginning you not felt the same about in terms of like wanting to, but do you feel like it's taken you a while, or it kind of comes not easy, but overall like that separation feels manageable to you, or do you feel like it's
I I feel like, because I've been a freelancer for 16 odd years now. So I feel like the mentality is just, you do take work home with you, because you carry the stress of like, oh my gosh, what am I doing tomorrow? Like as a dancer, you're like, oh my gosh, I have too much work this week and I have zero work next week. Like you do take that home. Um, but as a freelancer, I've learned to kind of be quite calm with that. Like I've been a freelancer for so long that I don't really worry about that
mm,
anymore, because I know it will come, and the universe just sometimes just does its thing. I truly believe in that. It does deliver what needs to happen will happen. Um, but when you're like setting up a new career, like for me, like I was still like I was spinning like so many plates. Um, and like it wasn't like my 100% focus, because I would have to, get ready for a show, or the next day I'd have to wake up and see 4 clients in the gym or whatever. So my brain was kind of a bit like, um, so for that reason, it was tricky, not from like a energy transfer place, just from my own personal energy, just trying to like manage my load. And like as I've sort of progressed in this career, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I truly believe if you're a dancer, you're always a dancer. Like that doesn't leave you. It doesn't just like one day just, it just doesn't happen. It's always there. We'll always come back to that. Like that, movement is part of me. And like the gym and all of those things. But now I'm like focusing my energy way more on just one thing. Like it's way healthier for me. And I can it just means I can manage the day and the weeks a bit more methodically, as opposed to just running around like a crazy woman. Um, but that also is being a freelancer. You have, you get told like, you have to accept the things that you might not want to do at the beginning, but that will lead to that will lead to that, and it's like a bit of a snowball effect, and blah blah blah. And we've all been told that, and it's, I will still say that to students now. Look, you're probably not going to get the most incredible job as your first job unless you're extremely lucky. But it's all a part of an experience leading to a better place. And I feel like the place I'm in now, I'm still pushing myself. I'm still like trying out clinics, and I'm like thinking, okay, how could this work better for my family and myself? And then doing the things that I really enjoy. But that takes time. You're not going to get that straight away. And I had to accept that moving into a new industry. Like it's not all just going to land on my lap. Like I'm going to have to work pretty hard actually, and I'm going to have to make some sacrifices in my life. And with work, I'm going to have to say no to dance work that I don't want to, but I kind of have to just to
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
you have yeah, and it's sad really. It's sad when you have to say no to something that you want to do, but I think yeah, it's quite a tough one. But I think now I'm getting there. I feel like the
yeah.
balance it's at the moment it's quite busy, but I've got a plan. So in my head I feel like I know where it's sort of heading. So I feel quite calm in that respect.
Hmm. Thank you for sharing. And I think, yeah, you were talking about something that I think is just good to keep like reminding the brain of like about some feels like you're speaking a lot about trusting the process and the value of like that everything, whether it's 100% enjoyable or not, it plays a role in you being able to learn what you want and how it works for you and how to manage certain situations, etc.
Yeah.
Brings me into like a question around being a mom and
Yeah.
how you have two kids, right? I think.
Yes, I do.
How raising them as like in your career, you're someone who
Mm.
works in well-being and movement a lot, like what that looks like as a mother with like also I like this idea that it's still like there's a separation because yeah, it's nice, but I'm just curious like what ways you see it coming into your role as a mother for them and this conversation around well-being and movement and your personal life and your life with them.
100%. Now this is a big one. Um, so so after I had both of my kids, so they're 3 and 4 now. After I had both my kids, I went straight back to dancing, straight back on stage, like not much of a breather. And it was really hard, but I felt at the time it felt right for me and my body. I know it's not for everyone. And I know, there was some days where, it was just a mess. Like I had the baby, I was like drive, like going into central London, like going to backstage with my baby saying, can we just make this work just today? Like it was just crazy. Um, and and I think now I've taken a step back from that a little bit. Um, it hasn't really changed the way that, because my children never really saw mummy on stage. Like it wasn't really, they were too young to even remember. Um, but I think now, like I do instill some values where, they will see me doing exercise or they you know and it's changed, trust me, like an hour and a half session in the gym just doesn't exist in my world anymore, but I will try and instill some like values upon them, not about body image and how they look, but it's all about feeling strong. And I think having a girl as well, um like instilling that like feeling of being strong is really important for me. And that's like mentally and physically. Um I think they're quite young at the moment to be able to understand a lot of things, so I don't like to overcomplicate like um mental health. I don't really like to overcomplicate that, but you still can implement a lot of it. So, and a lot of it is based around like self-esteem, like making them feel amazing. And whether that's them like doing something physically challenging and like them completing a task and feeling amazing about it, or just feeling good about themselves, like that's like really really important for me, because I think my generation, like we didn't really have that. It was all about output, so it was all
Mm.
about okay, that um yeah, good girl, you did well there. You know, I think there was a lot of that, and that becomes like a people pleasing cycle. So for me, I'm
Yeah.
very keen to not have my kids being that. Because I definitely was that when I was younger and beyond. So for me, that's come from me learning the hard way. But and also you want your kids to have the easiest life. You don't want them to struggle. We're obviously they're going to struggle through life because everybody does, but I want to instill some values in them that I have maybe tripped up along the way, and I want to rectify that. And it's great. Like it's not like they're a project, but they're like, you know, I can give them tools that I never had, you know.
Yeah.
Um and they are like, obviously my son has a broken leg at the moment, so he's not physically active, but I mean that's been a challenge in itself. But generally they are like fit, active, like really like physically like just want more kind of kids, and I love that. And I I really hope that they like have something like that that they can turn to. So if they're like really struggling mentally, like at least they can have something where they can physically um kind of put themselves in so their mind isn't like too busy. Like I find like sometimes doing something physically exerting can really help the mind to not
To check the
like be
energy
in
there.
that place. Um but yeah, I can't remember what else I was going to say. Um but yeah, I think just instilling those values in them of just um it's not it's not like a necessity like mummy has to go to the gym now because mummy has to look or do like
Mhm.
it's like no, we're just doing it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and we're going out for a walk and we're doing this. It's not like a, you know, a task. It's a way of life. Like, and you know, I think, you know, I'm lucky in the fact that I'm passionate about movement and, you know, and I can pass that on to the kids like with ease because I don't really need to, you know, it's just not really even a question in my head like whether we're going to like drive to the shop or walk. It's like it hasn't even entered my mind what the answer's going to be. Like it's just, you know,
That is what's
um,
happening.
yeah, exactly. And it's more about like the self-esteem and the feeling that it gives as opposed to the output, I would say.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I loved this idea of encouraging like strength, both in a celebratory way and equally like when something's challenging, that it can to encourage this resilience in a way that feels like from a sense of autonomy and power and self-esteem. I love it so much. Like I feel like that's something I want to hold on to myself in my brain and
Yeah.
forever. And for, yeah,
Yeah.
just how to, because also like at 3 and 4 years old, they're young, but equally like things do make an impact and they see things and they observe things, but equally like there's only so much to comprehend. And yeah, like the both sides of that coin, but it being this lens that then allows them to turn to it both in the highs and the lows and not just um, when they feel like they're doing incredible at it, like at it as an achieving thing, or and also taking away this pressure of it being a to-do list item of like you succeeded if you did it rather than like shifting the lens to like can we work towards something but can it go step by step, and that process gives the same like sense
Yeah.
of achievement without it feeling like it's
And
their
I
quote
think it's
unquote
I
failing.
yeah, I think a lot of it as well is about comparison. Because
Definitely.
kids very early on, from a very early age, are comparing themselves to others, whether that be an adult, a child, and they
Mm,
will make a perception about themselves based on that. Um, which is a really hard pill to swallow when you're a parent, because you just want them to just sail through life and to have no worries. That isn't just not the reality. And
Mm,
especially when they go to school, where you have way less control over who they're interacting with and all the rest of it. So for us, we really instill this is how our family operates, and these are our values, and this is what
mm,
we do. What other families choose to do is their choice, and that is the choice that they have made for them and their family. We do not hold those same values. So
mm.
you can be friends with that person. That really is absolutely fine. And you are making your own choices, but we have to give them the tools to make the right choices, you know?
Mm.
And and that comes again from values. Like, and some people will value like high achieving, I don't know, grades or whatever. That is a value that they instill within their family. And I'm not saying that's wrong at all. But for us, it's I feel like we just operate a little bit differently. And I'm not in any way saying that I'm right and they're wrong or they're right. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
We you just and when you're a parent, you have these ideals of how it's going to look, and it never is.
Yeah.
It just never is, because a lot of the time you're just sort of like you're too. It's already the moment's already happened before you've even like
Yeah,
processed what's going to happen.
definitely.
So, so again, but kids have an amazing ability to slow you down. So
Mm.
although their life is really fast and they're like chaos, and it's like jumping off sofas and making dens and just chaos, they do have this ability to like actually slow you down, because they'll be walking along in the street and they'll say, "No, mummy, we need to stop to observe this precious stone on the floor." And it's those
Oh,
moments I know, but it's those moments that you're like, it brings you back to
yeah,
yourself. And if you could totally go, "Oh, come on, like just stop." But that's the impatience within us.
yeah,
So
exactly.
you have to surrender to it, because I know that, parents will say, it really it goes so fast, so just enjoy it, and like please enjoy it, because I've got teenagers and it's different now, so just enjoy it. And you do, when they get to sort of this age, you do start to think, okay, yeah, this is going really fast and I need to like savor these moments. And that comes from, you know um preserving that family time away from your job and away from everything. But it doesn't mean it's not intertwined in a way that's positive, like the movement and the
Yeah.
trying to instill those values. So yeah,
Mm.
um, it's a big one. It's a life changer, and
Yeah,
it puts things into perspective in a way that you never thought were
yeah.
possible. And it's really funny because I go to work and I don't really. I'll talk about my family if someone asks, but I'm not gonna. There's no reason for them to be in my a daily conversation, because they're living their lives, and I'm at work at this moment. So, but what it holds within me is like this whole like different side of me where I really don't sweat the small stuff as much as I used to. I really like draw perspective on a lot of things a lot of the time, and I just yeah, it just changes you. And
It
yeah.
was something that I thought about when you were speaking about being able to separate life and your personal life and career a little bit, and wondering if it definitely, I imagined it had an impact as well. And just thank you for sharing, because it's a vulnerable space to share, and
Yeah.
it's so nice to hear. And I feel inspired by the way that your values around career and no, around movement, career too, but movement and well-being like come into the way that you're offering your values to your youngins. Um, so thank you so much for sharing.
Oh,
I'm aware that we're pushing time, so I want to shift into the closing question,
sure.
which is from the previous guest named Ricardo. Ricardo was asking if you think that the body remembers things the mind tries to forget, and
Oh,
how that shows up in your movement.
oh my
I
gosh.
was like, oh, this is
Oh
perfect
my
for a
gosh.
Shelley
Oh gosh,
conversation.
can of worms. 100%. 100% it does, because I can feel it and I can see it. And you can't hide it from me. So again, it just circles back to, what people say and how their body is talking is two different things, and I can read that like a book. Um, the difficulty is doing it on myself because I have to then look in. So doing it for other people, yeah, I'm the best advice giver in the world. Uh, but for myself, I really, I can see it within myself when things are getting too much. But I can't always control the inevitable. So I can see when something is showing up in my body a lot better than I used to. Weirdly, when I was dancing more, I couldn't see it as much. Now I've slowed down a bit, I can see it more. So that speaks a lot about, giving yourself space and time, all of those things. Um, but yeah, I have that awareness of when things are not good. Um, and I can't always control what is the inevitable, but I feel like I have more power now in the fact that I know that something's not right. And I might have the ability to one day be able to just like change that quickly. But I think it's a skill. I think that, we hold ourselves to really high standards. And I think that we try and ignore the physical and mental cues in our body. And I'm guilty of it myself. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling like this, and I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I'm feeling like weirdly anxious about nothing. And I feel like something doesn't feel right in my body. And I'm physically like feeling it in my body, but I don't have time to figure that out right now. So that's gonna have to just be in the corner, just over there. And I'm going to have, because I have to look after all these other people, whether it be family or clients or whatever. And it has to take a bit of a back step because otherwise I don't get through my day. But I am really trying to make a conscious effort to like just allow a little bit more time for um like those things to like come in my body and me just like sit with them and accept them. So I think that's like a work in progress for me. But I think, yes, 100% you can. Yes, yes. The answer is yes, a strong yes.
Yes, I
I mean, do you agree? I mean, you must, you,
100%. I was gonna say 100% agree because I think it just I think what you were saying of like you start to see it. I think I start to see it too, being like, well, it's still there. Or that thing that I thought I solved, but like didn't actually take the time to solve. Now I see it coming up in this way. Or
yeah.
and I think like starting to get more massages in my life definitely made me also go, oh yeah, okay, like
Oh,
things,
yeah,
things
100%.
impact us and yeah, whether it changes like the way that you're physically holding something or emotionally holding something or both, probably both. Um,
Probably both. Yeah. Probably both.
uh,
And also,
yeah,
like, interestingly, I think when you're watching performance, dance, and things like that, I feel like in ways you can kind of see that as well. If someone's like really restrained in the way that they're moving, or like, I think it's more like the quality of how someone's moving. Like, you can really tell if someone's really held, like, in the chest and like not breathing and not breathing, not like
no,
fully like
yeah,
taking it
not
in.
fully everything. Yeah.
Um, and I think like I remember this from a dance teacher. They always said like it's really uncomfortable to watch someone that's just holding their breath the whole time. Like it's really uncomfortable to watch. And I thought I took that with me and like through my career because I thought, no, you're totally right. Like it's really nice to see someone like take a breath and like really like hold the moment as opposed to
Mhm.
just like and gripping on. And I think that translates in what I do now. Like I can really see it. I can see it with dancers where I can already tell what kind of a dancer they are by by looking at them. Like it's quite interesting. Um, and that's not from a judgy perspective. That's just from I can kind of get a feeling of how you move by the way that you are right now.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it's quite interesting. Yeah,
it's super
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Oh, wow, I have like so many follow-up questions, but it would have to be a second episode. Um,
We can
but
do
yeah, like
another
just
episode.
yeah, like we'll definitely have to because yeah, it feels like a whole topic in itself of the way that it impacts physicality in day-to-day life, but also the way that it affects like movement quality and what things feel like
Yeah,
interesting to
and
you. But then even like maybe injury-prone related things, like where if
100%,
yeah, I can
100%.
imagine
And like
see that.
personality type can take a huge, yeah,
Mm,
it's a huge one as well. So if someone's like quite like insistent and quite short and quite whatever, like I can tell
yeah,
how their body's going to sort of respond. Whereas someone's a bit more like giving and open and all of those things. But that also is my job as a practitioner. Like
yeah,
I have to put them in a space where they feel like they can be open.
yeah.
Um,
Mm.
so
How they're intertwined.
it's a yeah, it's a two-way street, and you have to yeah, it's
Oh, cool.
you have to work with your person.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, it's so interesting. Yeah. Wow, I feel like I want to go like read different articles and things now.
Yay.
Um, Thank you so much though for
Oh,
everything today, for all of your energy and vulnerability as well, and just like insight into you and your brain and your career and everything. So thank you very, very much.
oh, thank
For the
you.
listeners, new episodes will come out on Saturdays and guest announcements on Tuesdays. And if you have any like questions or reflections for Shelley, please leave them down in the comments below. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of season 2 of Conversations for the Moving Self. If you've been here since the beginning, thank you so much for tuning in again. And if you're just joining now in the past couple episodes, I really wanted to say a big thank you for taking some time to listen, to hear these incredible conversations with some really important people to me. This podcast is a passion project and something I feel really, really excited about, but we can only continue to do it with your support. I invite you to follow, subscribe, like, and comment. Please share the podcast with any other listeners that you think might be interested. And if you have any reflections, please, please, please comment them down below. Super excited to be sharing these all with you and looking forward to the rest of the season. Thank you so much from CMS. Lots of love.